It's an exciting day here on Fate Chats with Andrew Burnett. Today, I have some very special friends with me. Small Town Sunday is here. I am excited to have y'all here. Holly, explain to us a little bit about the group and how the name Small Town Sunday came about.
Okay. Well, that's pretty easy. We are all three from very small towns. Matt and I live in Bessemer City, North Carolina, and Stephen is actually from Mount Airy, which, if you're a fan of Andy Griffith's show, you know that's Andy Griffith's hometown.
Yeah.
So we call him Mayberry. So the name is, it's derived from us all being from small towns. And then also, on Sundays, people do different things. If you're a person of faith, like we all are, Sundays are very much about going to church and worshiping God. But for a lot of just everyday, ordinary people, it's about spending time with the ones you love. And so much of our ministry is, just communicating to the everyday person. So we came up with the name Small Town Sunday. It encompassed all of that. And that's the best way I know to describe it.
So so y'all not only do gospel music, but you also do a little bit of country music on the side as well. Share with us a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about where the country flavor came in for you at.
Go ahead, Ben.
So the three of us have actually been singing together since around 2012.
Yeah.
We were not always in a gospel group. We did start off in country music as a country vocal group. Went to Nashville, did the whole original music project thing there on Music Row at Black River Entertainment, and we toured that for about 3 years up and down the East Coast. Um, Decided that keeping seven people on the road at one time and keeping everybody happy was just not the easiest of things to do and not something we were willing to continue to be a part of at that point. And then, of course, as you all know, and you're very much aware that when you're playing country music, you're not exactly playing in church and faith-based places anyway. So all the things that go along with that and all those establishments that you have to be in, it just got really old really quick. We came off the road. Stephen ended up doing a solo project here at our studio. I had a heart attack about 6 years ago. Came out of that and was like, you know what? We've been silent long enough. We've been avoiding this thing that God wants us to be a part of long enough. And sometimes, I know, as cliche as it sounds, sometimes it takes that mountain, so to speak, to really get your perspective back in order. And I told God after some prayer and talking with Holly, I was like, look, I know you want us in the music industry somewhere, somehow. You put us in whatever vein you think we need to be put in. And so far, it's not been easy to try to help craft out a new genre of gospel music, but I feel like it's where He wants us to be. And that's just where we're going to keep on pushing. So.
So, for each of you, who would be your country music influences or gospel music influences that have shaped your career to who you are today?
Second, you go first. You've been quiet.
Well, I grew up listening to people like Tim McGraw. Tim McGraw was a big influence for me, and then as I got older, Rascal Flatts has probably had the biggest influence on me that of anybody. But man, I love all kinds. I was listening to '90s country coming down here, Shenandoah, Diamond Rio, all those guys. So I think we have a lot of similar influences.
Yeah, we do.
I know who was somebody that you were influenced by growing up.
Well, I mean, obviously, we love harmony. My go-to is like Stephen said, Diamond Rio, Little Texas, Black Hawk,
Yeah,
all those great '90s country harmony bands. On the gospel music side of things, for me, I got to grow up around it, which being we're the third generation to run a recording studio here called Sun Sound Music Group, and I was real close with a fella named Danny Funderburk. Danny helped me a lot growing up, kind of try to find out who I was as an artist. And I've always loved the Cathedrals and his voice, especially as tenor singer with them. So I think I would have to say Danny probably had the biggest influence on me growing up. I even remember my parents listened to a lot of old Cathedral records, and it's kind of embarrassing, but it's the truth. We had a couple friends, and we would all pretend we were the Cathedrals in my bedroom. We really did. And I was always dancing. So that was awesome. Dave, what about you?
To date, myself a little bit, I remember when Garth Brooks came out with the No Fences record, which was, I believe, just before Rope in the Wind record, and Rope in the Wind was the one where he had on the black cowboy hat and the blue, I believe it was the blue and black striped shirt,
Yeah.
you know, and that had Shameless on it and Friends in Low Places and all that. I was always a huge Garth Brooks fan, but I go down to people like you know, Merle, Willie, Waylon. You know, I do take a step back as far as old school country goes. Was a huge Toby Keith fan. I love Toby Keith. Um, I mean, the list goes on. More modern, I have been an Al Dean fan for a long time. I was listening to him when he first came out with Asphalt Cowboy and you know those songs, you know, 15 years ago or so. But as far as the gospel music world goes, I would probably have to say probably Quentin Mills. That's a name you don't hear much about anymore. I did sing a lot of his stuff in church, and uh, you know, just those guys that kind of pioneered the you know kind of 80s and 90s gospel music. I was never a quartet fan. I can't stand quartet music. That's no offense to quartets. I can't stand it. But that's just me. That's just a personal taste. I think there are some great guys. I think they put out some great music. It's just not like a cup of tea. So I was never big into the quartet thing. But yeah. So there you go.
One of my biggest Christian influences, man, was Stephen Curtis Chapman. Man, I'm a big Chapman fan, still am. So
Let me rephrase something,
Yeah.
Andrew. I don't hate quartet music. It's just not my cup of tea. I just think they all try to. Well, I just think they all try to out sing each other, and they, you know, I just think a lot of them just get into the
Oh, yeah.
who
And
can
I'll
dress
say
better,
this.
who can sing
I'll say
louder.
this. That's a big part of what we're trying to do. There is something for everybody.
Right.
And whether you like that traditional kind of stuff, you know, we're on the other side of things. So what we try to do, Andrew, we try to make our sound like popular country radio so that those people will have an outlet that's faith-based.
Mhm.
So
That's
that's
very
just,
true.
yeah, that's just kind of the deal.
So I had talked to Holly last week about doing this interview, and tragedy struck our gospel music family. You know, when we all heard
Yeah.
about the news about the Nealons, I believe everybody was shocked and just numb. What was your first reaction to hearing the news?
She actually woke me up. We were out. Was it still Michigan? It might have been Ohio. I can't remember. But she actually woke me up. It was about 3 in the morning. And of course, I knew something was wrong anytime you get woken up at 3 in the morning. And she said, "Babe, did you hear about the Nealons?" And I said, "No, I've been in bunk asleep." And she told me, and it's crazy because Jason was just here about a month ago working with an artist in our studio here. And can't say enough good about them. They were great people. I got to meet them a couple of times personally. And yeah, that was one of those world shaking things, man, because they had really put so much of their life and effort, you know, into sharing the gospel in their way with folks, and always so kind, you know, and always just so humble. And it was that was a heartbreaking thing.
Yeah, and I think it kind of, in a way, lit a fire for us. I know that next concert we did, Stephanie talked about, you know, making every moment count.
Yeah.
It just kind of puts everything back in perspective of why we do what we do, and try to reach as many people as we can in the time that we have.
And none of us are promised tomorrow, so we need to definitely make every moment of today count, because today is all we have.
So, as many know, y'all had released the single "That's What I Love About Sundays." Why this particular song? Share with us a little bit about that.
That's easy.
Yeah. Actually, believe it or not, we get a lot of advice from Dusty Wells over at Daywind, and we had our first meeting with Straight Arrow Management, our manager Michael Turner, and we were sitting there with Dusty and Kyle at Daywind. And right before we left, Dusty pulled Holly to the side and he said, "Look, please recut that old Craig Morgan song, 'What I Love About Sunday,' and just put a modern just put a modern twist on the music. And we took it to our producer, and I was like, "What do you think?" And he said, "Well, what do you want?" And Holly said, "Look, just modernize it. We love the song, and just put your twist on it." He sent it to his guys, and man, did we get back an incredible track for that song. And not only does it go along with the name, I think honestly, some of the stuff it talks about in the song, everybody can relate. Maybe not to freckle faced kid, breaking your window or something, right before church or whatever. But everybody can relate to that one person that is like, God bless her soul, but if she has to sing any louder off key, I just think I think there's a lot of that can be, relatable, especially if you grew up in like small town church kind of thing. And I'll tell you something cool about that is about, I don't know, it had to be 2 or 3 months ago. Adam Dorsey, the writer of that song, we've been in contact with his brother Brandon. He actually sent us an email and was like, "Hey, I'm the mean little freckle faced kid in the song," and he's like, "I love it." And so he messaged us, and Adam had actually asked if he could get a contact for us, and I was like, "Absolutely, of course," and it wasn't 20 minutes later after I sent that message back. Adam actually called and he was like, "Hey man, I want to say I really appreciate what you guys have done with this song." Just those two guys, we meet a lot of people in the industry just like you do, I know, but those guys are heartfelt, genuine, passionate believers about what they do, and it's just been an incredible experience. So
That's awesome. So what's coming up for Small Town Sunday?
Well, the next big thing,
Stephanie, you don't get to talk.
well,
sit there.
no, Stephen,
I'm kidding.
I'm channeling what he's thinking right now.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the next big thing we have coming up, we are actually going to kick off something called the Christian Country Tour, not far from our hometown. And it is in Shelby, North Carolina, if you're familiar with the area, at the historic Don Gibson Theater here. We are going to have a concert on August the 24th with Todd Tillman, season 18 winner of The Voice.
Team Blake.
He is awesome. We've been doing a lot of things with Todd. So we're bringing him to the local area here. And then Miss Lindy Bryson, she is an up and coming artist that I've had the pleasure of working with the past few years here with our company. And she is awesome. She writes a lot of her own music. She's beautiful, and her little voice, I call her my little songbird.
And already has a really cool publishing deal with Blank Slate Music out of Nashville. So
she's doing awesome.
She's
but
doing
we are going to have that concert August the 24th coming up. So we would love to extend an invitation to any of your viewers to come out and check that out. That's going to be an awesome night.
That's awesome. So what about a memorable moment so far that will forever stick to the front of your memory as Small Town Sunday?
We'll make him talk.
Probably, I think we would all agree. We have some friends of ours that came to a show when we had just kind of got started, and they were people that I guess from today's society, you wouldn't really think of them going to church, not really church going people, but we got up and we had just released we were doing some songs off our new record, and just to see them sit there and tears flowed, and just to see how they were impacted by the songs that we had chosen, but we didn't know if it was going to work or not. We were kind of scared about some of the lyrics that the songs that we had chosen, and but that just kind of gave us confirmation that this is where God wants us, and it's our duty to go outside the walls of the church and to love on people like Jesus did.
Okay.
And just to see those people impacted like that, I think that even though that was a long time ago, that still sits with me today.
Yeah, never forget that.
What about you, Holly?
Well, I've got to kind of go with something funny, I guess. We had our first show together when we started doing the Christian country stuff was in Waxhaw, North Carolina at a festival. And when I tell you it was the hottest day of the summer, and they had us out on this field, and like,
Surface of the sun.
yeah,
It was a covered stage, and
yeah,
they had
but you
brought
wouldn't even
water,
know it.
cooler water. And
You didn't feel it. It was warm.
yeah.
So, yeah, they had lots and lots of bottled water in a cooler for us. And this one took very extreme advantage of the water. So much so,
Too quickly.
so much so that like, well, where were we in the concert? Maybe 30 minutes in?
Maybe 30, 40, something.
Yeah.
A song that I typically have the
Yeah.
lead on.
Yeah. He was fixing to sing this song and he just looked at Stephanie and was like, you got to sing it, and ran off stage. And he got sick, bless his heart. I hate that he got sick, but it was really funny to watch Stefan try to remember the words to a
Yeah.
song that he didn't sing. So,
Yeah, most of the time I would just sang the harmony on the song.
yeah.
And it wasn't my responsibility for that song to worry about all the lyrics. So yeah, you did a good job.
Yeah, he did do a good
That
job.
was interesting. You did.
I will always remember that.
So what about you, my friend? What's your memory?
So I'm going to go back to the very beginning. We have some friends. Their name is Greg and Lori Ramsey, and we went to them. They were always supporters of the music, regardless of the kind of music we were doing. And they don't get mentioned a lot because they're not the kind of people that are like, hey, we did this for y'all. They're just not those people at all. But we went to Greg and Lori and said, look, this is kind of how we feel like we're being led into this music thing. And, we're not sure how to do it, how to start it. We're gonna need mics and PA and cables and guitars and stands and all, a trailer and all this stuff. And basically, Greg and Lori looked at us and said, we've been praying that you guys would get back in the music somehow. And we can't afford to get you the best of the equipment, but we're not going to buy bottom of the barrel stuff. I want you guys to have good stuff, and we don't want a dime of it back. So they initially wrote us a blank check to get the ministry started, and to this day have not asked for a single mention or a bit of it back or anything. And not just because of the financial gift to get us started. You just don't find a whole lot of people that still put their faith, out there. They might tell you they believe in you, but then if God let, hey, I need you to, I need you to write a check for, $5,000 or whatever. It's like, God, are you kind of sure? You sure really? Is this really? There was never a question. They have been blessed in life to be able to do some things like that. And that will forever be one of my greatest memories is that they just absolutely went outside of the lines of what people would normally do. And we still use some of that equipment today, all these years later.
That's amazing. So to close out the interview, tell folks how they can find out more about Small Town Sunday.
Well, we are everywhere, Andrew. We have www.sunsound or Sunsound. That's my company. See, I'm tired. Smalltownsunday.com. And we're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter.
That's still a thing.
Yeah, I mean it is. Donald Trump brought it back.
X. Is it X now?
Yeah, it is X.
Okay.
And now let's see, we're on Spotify and Apple Music and
YouTube and just anywhere you download.
You can find it.
You can find it.
It's just a little @ symbol, Small Town Sunday, and we'll come right up.
Well, I love y'all. Thank y'all for doing the interview. Bless your ministry, and I look forward to the next time we can talk again.
Man, thank you so much for what you do, brother. We'll talk soon.
Love you, bud.
All right. See y'all soon.